Tony D and Little Joan in the background, and this is just a brief Hollywoke hot take. I mean, it's too long to be a Hollywoke short take, so it's kind of a Hollywoke short take. Call it a half-ass Hollywoke hot take if you want, but just a couple of stories that we didn't get a chance to talk about because they broke kind of later. Gay Superman writer Tom Taylor cries about CBR labeling his Injustice Gods Among Us run as mid. It's pretty bad though, dude, when CBR labels you as mid. When CBR labels you as mid, dude, you're lucky to get mid. I mean, how bad is this run that they're labeling it mid? No, thank you. And more superhero stuff. The Fantastic Four first reactions say, according to Variety, film is one of the best things Marvel has ever made with stunning visuals, excellent performances, and leading cast. Yeah, right. Come on. Snappy and confident storytelling. Visual feast, I totally believe. Because Hollywood is good at making images, but precious little else. Let's see. Next Best Picture Editor in Chief Matt Neglia wrote on X, the Marvel tentpole lives up to its namesake as fantastic, hailing the film's excellent leading quartet and delightful retro-futuristic aesthetic. Combined with Matt Shackman's snacky, confident storytelling, this intriguing and satisfying first step for Marvel's new team, easily the best depiction of this quartet on screen to date, as the MCU continues to regain control of the ship and steer it closer to Doomsday. Do you understand the irony in the way you just phrased that? Yeah, steering it closer to Doomsday. Galactus is awesome. Silver Surfer looks really, really good. No, she does not. And she should be a he for the umpteenth time. So, okay. You can praise this all you want. This might... You know how, like, mainstream media has been putting itself further and further over its skis until finally they just kind of collapse underneath their own weight? Yeah, this could be Variety's collapse right here. You could be seeing it. Variety exclusively reported that John Malkovich was originally set to appear in First Steps as the Red Ghost, but was cut out of the film. Yeah, it's weird. I don't know why you would cut him. He's a good actor. So, yeah, maybe they'll bring him back. I don't know. So here's all the positive things. Andrew Salazar said something positive. Fantastic Four is a masterpiece? Oh, come on, dude. Fantastic Four rocks. Nothing will prepare you. Pedro Pascal is the perfect Reed. There's no way that's true, in my view. There's no way that's true. That mustache has to go for Reed. More on Stephen Colbert. Stephen Colbert's Late Show operated a $40 million loss for years. That's each year. So, I mean, you've got the studio. It's a lot of money to run, a big show like that in the studio. They're all union guys. So, I mean, if you're looking at 40 million, what's that break down to per show? Because they're doing the show, I gotta say, on average, at least 4 nights a week. 4 times 52. You're talking about hundreds of episodes. Let's be generous though. Let's say it's 160 episodes in a year, because I think that goes evenly into 40. Go into 40 like 2.5. So 2.5. I think I'm doing that math right. So if there's 160 episodes, no, it'd be 0.25. So you're talking about each show cost about $250,000. Now I forget what Colbert's getting paid. He's got to be getting north of 5 million, closer, probably north of 10. But he could be getting a percentage. He could be getting a salary and a percentage. probably some kind of royalty thing. I mean, again, it's all union, so it's very expensive. But you're talking at least, I'm thinking about 200 to 250 a show. That's a lot of moolah for a show like this. You're talking about, what is it? What is it when you get right down to it? It's a stage, it's a desk, a couple of chairs, lights, and a camera. So you're paying top dollar for cameramen who barely move the camera. No offense to the union guys, but you know you are probably paid a lot of money for what you do. And that's what unions do. They get their union members a lot of money. You've got not just the cameraman, you got the stage hands, you got the crew in the control room, you got the makeup people, an entire staff behind this show, producers, everybody's got an assistant. Colbert certainly has an assistant. The band leader has an assistant, I'm sure. Publicist, just the endless amount of people. So I'm not, in fact, I'm a little surprised, and we're talking 40 million. That was what it lost. So the show made some money. So really, what are we talking about here? They could be blowing, say, on a budget like this, maybe they're blowing like $1 million a show. Maybe it's more like $100 million for the year. But they're making $60 million back. I can't see the show even making that much, but how much could you make in a year on a show like this? I mean, how much could the commercials be? The Super Bowl gets $1 million for a spot, but the Colbert Show, even though it's a top-rated show, in its time slot, it's on television, which people aren't watching anymore. So, I don't know. Figure, I don't know, 5K to be on the Late Show, right? So how much could you make per episode? Somewhere between, I don't know, maybe a spot costs anywhere from 5 to 20K. But again, it's not an exact science. They're gonna buy, when you buy more ads, they're cheaper. They're gonna come in and buy a raft of ads. They're gonna have certain guarantees. And if the show doesn't bring in enough viewers, they're going to have to give them more spots to keep them happy. They're going to throw in some free spots to sweeten the deal to keep them going. So, yeah. And look, there's been times when I'm sure he's gotten a little backlash when people bothered to boycott the show. Now I don't even think they're concerned about doing that. I don't think so. I mean, Colbert used to do a bit. And I think he did it on The Late Show, too. He did it on the Colbert Report, where he made fun of pharmaceutical companies, how crazy their side effects were. And then the ironic thing, there he is, shilling for the vaccine. I mean, this is just desserts for him. I hope he never returns to the spotlight at this level. He'll probably attempt to a couple of times. I hope it fails miserably, because I don't want to see him back in the limelight. I want to see him retire. I think he should. And finally, let's take a quick look at the Superman box office for Friday. 16.6 million. That's pretty damn good for a Friday. So look, we're at, now with the international box office, more of that came in. So still, the UK is top, 21.6. Mexico, 11 million. Germany, 9.6. China is still at 6.6. I'm kind of surprised at China, just because there's so many people there. But we're at a better international box office now. It is lagging behind, but we're looking at 337 million. That's pretty good. Tomorrow's the big day. I expect this to probably be close to, let's see, it made 200 and, what was the total? 225 for the weekend? No, it was 217 for the weekend. So we're already in at 16. So today's box office plus tomorrow's, it's got to do about 80 million, I'm going to say. So you could add another, I'm going to say, at least another 100 million to this. Probably more. But let's just say, for the sake of argument, it's 100 million. That's way over 400 million. And that's way over the magic formula of 2 times its budget. Now, other people, the top number I've heard for this to make money or break even is 600 million. I don't think it's going to make that, but I think if it cracks 450, I think you got to call it a win. You got to call it a win at that point. I mean, and again, I don't think they spend the kind of money you think they do on advertising. I think that formula is way high. Way high. It's possible, but I think that's doubtful. Those numbers are very high. And again, you're talking about big studios that spread out the money under their own people and their own radio and TV and outlets. It's not really spending money when you really think about it. You're just shifting the money from one division to the next. You're losing money in the exchange, but it's not leaving your company. So it's a huge way to save money. And you can imagine the affiliates associated with Warner Brothers touting it. I was just saying to someone tonight, someone said to me, hey, I just watched this news segment. They're always overlooking the movies. I hear this, I forget what they were saying. A movie or a TV show was really good. And I was like, yeah, but they often tout their own product. That's not necessarily a ringing endorsement because they actually watched it and said, ooh, this is good, let's report it on the news. They probably just got told, here's a bunch of stuff we're doing, promote it. And that's the way it rolls. And you can understand that once you think about it. But people watching the news don't necessarily think about that. They just kind of accept it at face value unless somebody says something or does something that makes them stop and go, wait a minute. So, yeah, that's what studios do. ABC is owned by Disney. Of course they're going to tout every Disney that comes out as a great thing. They're not going to talk about a bad box office. They're going to tout the Fantastic Four as something to see. Because it's part of the same company. I'm not sure what Warner Brothers is. I guess CBS is Paramount. So that leaves NBC. NBC is separate. I'm not sure. I mean, they had the CW at one point. I'm not sure that's really a thing anymore. But, I'm sure they still have interest in some TV in somewhere. Maybe it's just not as open as it once were. But either way you look at it, I think this is easily going to crack 450 million by the middle of next week. And then what are you looking at? Well, probably by the end of the week, at this rate, if it makes, I don't know, almost 10 million a day, I think it could make 50 million during the week or close to it. It'll be almost at 500 million by the weekend, but next weekend it'll probably do at least 50 million. That'll put you at 550. It'll make another 20 million during the week after that, and maybe another 25 next weekend. That puts you around pretty close to 600. I think eventually you do hit 600 at the rate we're going, but tomorrow is key. Tomorrow's box office is key. So, like I said, I'm doing my event at 7. I'll come back, I don't know how late, and I'll try to do a live stream, but if it's too late, I might just do a video. But we'll see. If I can get back before midnight, I might get caught up and, people are coming to see me, and then I might end up staying later, and, you know how that goes. So, but this is going to be very interesting, I think. And, a lot of nerds are dumping on this movie. And look, I can understand your criticism. But if the movie works, you have to kind of separate yourself from the lore a little bit. The lore is important. But this Superman movie, in my opinion, follows at least the lore that has been presented in the comics in the past. And to me, that's enough. Okay? It's not like they followed, the gay Superman line, the Jonathan Kent storyline or something like one that was obviously woke. It's not woke at all. Not really. I mean, you could make an argument it's a little girl bossy, but it's not really woke. So, as long as it's not that, and it did follow something in the comics, I don't think you can complain about the lore. You could definitely complain it's a bit of a jumbled mess, but I think it's a fun jumbled mess, and I think that's why people like it. So, in general, I'm saying normies in general, and if the thing's a hit, it's a hit, baby. And Warner Brothers needs a hit. And in addition to that, I do think, this whole thing with Jor-El in the movie, you can build upon that story-wise. It does make it a little different than most people in the cinematic world have seen Superman, but not so much in the comics. There is some story to mine there in the movies, and that's what Superman needs. Superman needs two things. Number one, it needs something different in the movies. One of the things James Gunn said, amongst all the millions of things he said, and believe me, I wish he'd shut up, but he did say that he wanted to make Superman the sort of character that could be in the same universe as a guy with a bow and arrow, so they wouldn't be so far apart in terms of power level. And that's what they've done with this Superman. They've kind of lowered his power level. And that's a real problem from a narrative, from a writer's perspective. If this guy is indestructible, it's like the old Jerry Seinfeld bit. Hey, why don't you pick up the trash, Superman? There was a big garbage strike. You could pick it up in 5 seconds. Like, if he's a little more depowered, if he's more kind of like the Fleischer Superman, and really, if he had done that, that would have been awesome. Like, the Fleischer Superman, this is the old cartoon, he could jump very far. He could fly short distances, I guess, but he did a lot of jumping and hopping. This Superman is flying at a pretty good clip, and he's super strong. So, but like the whole thing with the sun, I mean, nobody's complaining about the sun part of it and that the sun heals him, because we've seen that in the comics. But really, that got kind of pushed. That's sort of like the downstream logic of the character years and years later. It wasn't real. I don't think it was really part of the original thing. Like, it wasn't so detailed. Like, oh yeah, if Superman gets beat up, they'll just zap him with sunlight and all his wounds will heal. And they would focus on the kryptonite. And you might say, well, why didn't they do that? Because they already did it. The Richard Donner Superman, he did the kryptonite. Lex had kryptonite. If they had done this again in this movie, it would have been boring. It would have been boring. It also would have been boring if he was completely indestructible. So I'm fine with this version of Superman. I think you got to back off a little bit, nerds. You're going to have your opinions. I'm not saying don't have your opinions. I'm saying you're being a little harsh on this. I think he can build from here. I'm not a big fan. I don't know what his real political opinions are, but I'm not a big fan of what I've heard. And he may be bringing in other talent at some point to direct movies. And I'm not here to defend James Gunn. He said some stupid things, and I really wish to God he'd stop going on the internet and getting into discussions with the fans. In his defense, most of it has been positive, but man, I just wish he'd just go make the movies and be a little more selective when he comes out with statements about it. Like it's fine. Oh yeah, I put out a picture of Supergirl in the upcoming movie. Supergirl may be the one that, yeah, it's based on I think a Tom King run where she's a drunk moron. Um, yeah, I don't know. I don't think that's going to resonate. Maybe they're going to market it like a Barbie movie to women, and maybe that'll work. Because again, Hollywood is all about the female demo now. It's a dumb move. It's a stupid move. You should go back to the 1835-year-old men because that worked and that made you billions of dollars. But okay, you still want to throw your weight towards women, especially for some reason lesbians. I don't know why that's part of the demo. Lesbians 20 to 40. But, I think that's a mistake, but we'll see with Supergirl. If Supergirl hits like Barbie, you might see a DCU where it goes all female too. I don't think that's going to be the case though. I don't think the Supergirl movie will be as well received. I think it'll do okayish, and I think again with James Gunn's writing skill, he'll make it fun enough that you'll be okay with it. And Crypto's selling this thing. You have to admit that. Crypto's selling it, man. Anyhow, that's my rant. I don't know what to call this video. Tomorrow, again, I'll be in Hamilton for the Snouts and Stouts Brewery for my 7 o'clock talk on how to hunt the Jersey Devil. Book 18 of the Pineys coming soon. I got the cover. I'm going to be working on that tonight. Should be out at the latest on Monday. Might even be able to get it out tomorrow. I'm still doing some stuff on the back cover. The editing's done. So we're forging ahead, Pineys. All right. Hope to see you at my Hamilton thing. If not, see you tomorrow. Check out the live stream, which we already did. And, yeah. Good night.